So just like the quirks video, let's see what Type Moon and Fate heroines would have in terms of curse techniques from Jujutsu Kaisen. And no, characters from the previous video will not appear in this one, as we are starting with a new batch, but just assume any curse technique they would have would be the same or similar in quirk format. The same thing for this video in relation to the other one. Rento Saga would have the curse technique of Gonder, a generic projectile ability that will put debilitating effects on her opponents based on their cursed energy compared to hers. And while other people would be able to also use this ability, making it not so special, it's her resourcefulness that will make the difference. Alternatively, she can also just store her cursed energy into gems and use those as ammunition, with each gem, depending on the need, having a bit or a lot of cursed energy. Following that, her sister Sakura would be able to manifest dark shadows that she can puppet. She could also give them direct commands so they can act on their own or wear it, increasing her overall stats and abilities, but at the cost of creating less shadows separate from her body. Utility wise, she'd be similar to Megumi, where she could also store items or potentially people into her shadow, being a reference to her link to imaginary number space. And in theory, she could have a domain where she can create infinite shadows while also wearing the shadow and devour her foes, restoring her strength and cursed energy. I think Artoria Pendragon having a dragon core in series would translate to a heavenly restriction, which will allow her to have large amounts of cursed energy but stunt her own physical growth. She'd be wielding a powerful cursed tool, this being our Excalibur equivalent, as well as Avalon equivalent, that she can utilize, putting her cursed energy into it, giving her great offense and defense in battle, making her an absolute menace on the battlefield. But Zed would have Fragorok as her ability, passed down over generations like it is in Fate Stay Night. Its ability to alter causality by striking first while activating second against strong attacks would be a binding vow, limiting its effectiveness, meaning outside of big moves it would be weaker, but knowing Bazette, she would use this as her trump card and not so much as a crutch to win her battles, being strong on her own. We'll end the Fate portion with Miyu. Similar to Ilia, as I explained in the other video, she would have Sapphire, which would be a powerful curse tool that would offer her a wide variety of abilities, and her only restriction would be needing to have it on her at all times and needing the right imagination to be able to use it to its full potential. Although we could also give her something similar to her Child of God abilities to manipulate outcomes by wishing for it. The bigger the change, the more cursed energy is required. Now for the non-Fate Type Moon characters. We have Ciel from Tsukihime, who has been possessed by Roa at one point in her life, just like how Yuji was harboring Sukuna inside of him. Thus, if Yuji could inherit Sukuna's abilities, theoretically, that also means, in this case, Ciel could inherit Roa's abilities, such as the lightning, the pseudo immortality, which would translate to an automatic reverse curse technique. And as a result, in combination with the version Pain armor, which could be a curse tool, it'll make her nearly unstoppable on the battlefield. But if we give her her own set of abilities, separate from Roa, then I'd recommend her having her Colvaria Stars, which is an ability from the Tsukihime remake. This ability itself would take her about 3 minutes to deploy, but when she unleashes it, it will release a powerful set of light beam blades that can essentially act as a guillotine of light, which would be very effective against any opponent, especially curses. I think Arcoade Brunstead, the Princess of True Ancestors, being some sort of sorcerer from a very long time ago, having accumulated many skills, in this case curse techniques, over her time, such as being able to control vines, manifest chains, but I feel her main ability would be a weaker version of the Marble Phantasm, which would be a barrierless domain that will enhance her own abilities. And considering she's more of a head-on fighter who fights with her claws, she could use this to hit her opponents without getting close to them, and if activating a full domain, which would just be her Marble Phantasm, which is the Millennium Castle, then she would gain absolute control over all things within the area. Also getting access to her archetype Earth powers, making her someone even Sukuna or Gojo would actually need to put in effort to combat. Next we have Akiha Tono, who could use her normally invisible origami to plunder the strength from people when they come in contact with someone. This way she could boost her own strength, and when she's done so, her hair will start to turn red, showing that she's getting more powerful. But also, she'll start acting a bit more out of control and manic, similar to how she is under the effects of an inversion impulse. In this case, the Tonos themselves in this context could be descendants of something similar to the Cursed Wombs, where because they are technically part demon, they would be, in this case, part curse. Although how much that affects them strictly depends on the person. Here we have a pick I'm sure none of you even thought about, the Moon Princess from Tsukino Sango. I think she should have the ability to manipulate the area around her, acting as the core or the heart of it. This will give her limitless resourcefulness in something similar to what if her Archwade, giving her something like a pseudo or even a high level simple domain. Her domain itself would be a more powerful version of that, allowing her to change the environment into anything that she wants. For example, like the forest that is seen in Tsukino Sango. While not a deadly one that insta-kills, she literally has the whole environment at her disposal to handle most situations. And lastly, we'll end this off with Gray from Case Files, who, similar to Higuruma and Angel, will have the ability to seal curse techniques. This is referring to her ability in adventures called Rangominiad Mythos, which is able to pin down and seal mysteries, which mystery, for those who don't know, it's a system that determines how strong magic is in the Type Moon universe. This will also work against cursed objects as well. If it has cursed energy, it can be sealed. And that's all I got for you for this one. If you want to see the previous one that I did where I gave Type Moon heroes and heroines quirks, then that video is on screen right now.